Bandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitamscha Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gaurava Bhistam Supwarakam Guruganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujvalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bhande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabananam Balarka Chelan Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Bharam Bandetam Shivaram Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Sridharam Vanshakapatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur. This is translated by Sarva Bhavana Das. He's a Bengali person, devotee. I've met him, Sarva Bhavana. So we're in Antya-khanda, chapter 2, and the title of this chapter is Sri Chaitanya arrives in Jagannath Puri, and towards the end of the chapter where Krishna is speaking with Lord Shiva. The place I have designated as your residence lies north of my abode, Jagannath Puri. Your place is, as I have described before, very beautiful and charming. Here one can very easily attain liberation and bliss. This place will be famous as Bhuvaneshwar. The glories of Jagannath Puri greatly impressed Lord Shiva, and he again embraced the lotus feet of the Lord and began to speak. O Lord of my life, I have one prayer. I am always so falsely proud. Therefore, if I remain far away from your association, it is most detrimental for me. I am yearning in my heart to stay close to you because in your absence I can never benefit from bad association. That means that he's praying for the association of the Lord. If you mercifully consider me your servant, then kindly allow me a place in your own abode. After hearing the wonderful glories of your Dham, from your lotus lips, I am feeling an uncontrollable urge to live there. Living very humbly, I want to render menial service to you. All I request is just a little space in your Dham. Saying this, Lord Shiva's voice choked with emotion and tears coursed down his cheeks. Yeah. The Lord was very pleased with the words of Lord Shiva, and he embraced him firmly, saying, Hear me, O Shiva. You are as precious to me as my own body. One who is dear to you is even dearer to me. I reside always within you. Of this there is no doubt. I allow you to stay in all my abodes. In fact, you are the protector and maintainer of all the dhams. This place, known as Ekamrava Ekamrakavan, I am certainly giving to you. This place known as Ekamrakavan, I am certainly giving to you. Stay there and make it your home. Know that this place is also my favorite. I will be most pleased if you stay there always. One who claims to be my devotee but disregards you is only trying to pretend devotion to me. This is how Lord Shiva came to reside in the famous place Bhuvaneshwar. To this day, Bhuvaneshwar is still manifest. In order to teach everyone that Lord Shiva is very dear to Sri Krishna, Lord Chaitanya now danced in front of Lord Shiva. He was now practically demonstrating all the instructions of Sri Krishna as they are found in the Puranas and other Vedic scriptures. Clapping his hands, Lord Chaitanya danced and sang, Shiva Ram Govinda. The Lord then offered worship to Lord Shiva with all his devotees. The Supreme Lord is the supreme instructing spiritual master. One who does not take his instructions will suffer due to his grievous mistake. The Lord then took his disciples and went around Bhuvaneshwar, visiting the different temples of Lord Shiva. The Lord was particularly happy to see one Shiva Linga that was off the beaten track. When he left Bhuvaneshwar, he was feeling very elated all the way to Kamalapur village. From Kamalapur, the Lord looked in the direction of Puri and in the distance saw the fluttering flags atop the Jagannath temple. His heart flooded with spiritual emotions, drowning him in an ocean of ecstatic bliss. He began to cry out like the rumbling of thunder. The transformation in mood was amazing. He began to shiver and became sluggish, unable to move. His eyes were fixed on the temple spire, and he stumbled on reciting Sanskrit verses. One of the verses he sang should be noted carefully. Just see the cowherd boy Krishna is shyly smiling from the top of the temple upon seeing me, thus increasing the extraordinary beauty of his face. The pastimes of the Supreme Lord are of a transcendental nature, and each time he repeated this verse, he stumbled and fell swooning step by step. This verse is, just see the cowherd boy Krishna. Just see the cowherd boy Krishna is shyly smiling from the top of the temple upon seeing me, thus increasing the extraordinary beauty of his face. The pastimes of the Supreme Lord are of a transcendental nature, and each time he repeated this verse, he stumbled and fell swooning step by step. The force of his swooning and falling, which exhibited his intense separation, was such that even my most expressive inner voice feels inadequate to describe the sight. Thus the Lord moved forward whilst offering full obeisances upon the ground. Instead of walking, he fell like a stick to the ground and stood up each time at distances measuring the length of his body. He stood up, looked up at the temple spire, chanted the verse, and fell crashing to the ground again and again. People all around stared agape in complete astonishment and awe. Such a manifestation of devotion is possible only for Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the divine incarnation of supreme spiritual love. The whole way Sri Chaitanya exhibited the apex of divine love for Sri Krishna, and how fortunate were the souls that lined the roads to see the Supreme Lord lost in his ecstasy. They said about the Lord, he is certainly the Supreme Lord, Sri Narayan himself. The devotees moved along with their Lord, surrounding him on all sides, their freely flowing tears of ecstasy soaking the earth. The distance from Kamalapur to Attaranala is a good hour and a half's walk. However, the Lord required 9 hours. When he came to Attaranala, he withdrew within himself all the ecstatic moods and feelings. He became equipoised, sat down with all the devotees, and spoke entreatingly to them. You have been real well-wishing friends to me, having brought me to Lord Jagannath. Now kindly tell me whether I should go after you or I am allowed to go ahead of you alone. Mukunda replied, you should go ahead of us. The Lord left their company and walked towards the temple of Lord Jagannath. His gait was regal, like the maddened king of the forest. With ever-quickening steps, he entered the Jagannath Puri temple. Whoever hears this narration of the Lord entering Nilachala Puri will be carried on waves of ecstatic bliss. By the will of the Supreme Lord, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also arrived at that time, wishing to see and worship Lord Jagannath in the temple. As Lord Chaitanya stood in front of the deities of Lord Jagannath, Subhadra, and Shankar Shan Balaram, he began to roar loudly like the booming of the ocean waves. He was yearning to hold Jagannath in his embrace. He jumped and pranced as his spiritual emotions became ebullient and his spouting tears sprinkled all around. Suddenly, he fell crashing to the ground, swooning with uncontrollable bliss. How can one fathom such moods of the Supreme Lord? The ignorant and foolish interior guards of the temple, thinking the Lord was misbehaving, immediately prepared to punish him and beat him. Just then, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya rushed to the supine form of the Lord and stopped the guards from striking him. He saw the unconscious body and thought to himself, studying all symptoms, I think this person is not a human being. It is impossible for anyone to call out so loud, shedding such incessant tears. This is all very extraordinary. Maybe he is Krishna Chaitanya. Such were the thoughts that went through. So Sarvabhauma is thinking, studying all symptoms, I think this person is not a human being. It is impossible for anyone to call out so loud, shedding such incessant tears. This is all very extraordinary. Maybe he is Krishna Chaitanya. Such were the thoughts that went through the mind of the blessed Sarvabhauma. Sarvabhauma warded off the temple guards, and they now stood at a distance, looking on with fear and reverence. Sri Chaitanya lay still, stunned, being moved to a state of complete ecstasy upon seeing his very own self upon this altar. The Vedas are inadequate to describe such esoteric transformations of the Supreme Lord. Lord Gaurasundar, the Supreme Lord, is sitting upon the altar as his Chaturvyuha expansions, feeling content. The self-same Lord has now become the devotee and is rendering service to himself. The Lord knows these transcendental mysteries about himself. This is delineated in the Vedas and Bhagavat, which always describe the pastimes of the Lord simply with the good intention of delivering the conditioned souls. Sarvabhauma remained patiently waiting, protecting the Lord from any harm. However, the Lord remained deeply immersed in Krishna Prema, in the mood of a devotee, oblivious to the external world. Finally, Sarvabhauma decided to take the Lord to his own residence. He spoke to the sentries, please carry this jewel amongst saints and follow me. The sentries lifted the still unconscious form of the Lord onto their shoulders and carried him out. The arrival of Sarvabhauma in the temple at the same time as the transcendental ecstasy of the Lord was not a mere coincidence. The character of the Lord is incomprehensible to ordinary people who lack understanding of how events actually take place. Once outside the temple, the Lord was carried amidst thundering chanting. The large crowd which had gathered was very jubilant. Just then the rest of the devotees from the Lord's party arrived and met their Lord in front of the temple as he was being carried out of the Lion Gate, the Simhaduar. They became very joyful seeing their beloved Lord. Everyone in the crowd wanted a chance to carry the Lord. So the Lord was passed from hand to hand, being transported in the same way that a swarm of ants might pass foodstuff down a long line of themselves. The devotees paid their obeisances to the Lord and joined the flowing mass of jubilant people. So many people carried the Lord to Sarvabhauma's house that when they all arrived, the doors had to be closed and bolted to keep the huge crowds outside. Sarvabhauma was extremely pleased to see the associates of the Lord. He received them with proper respect and etiquette, seating them all comfortably. By now, his doubts about the identity of the Lord were calmed, and he was feeling elated beyond words. How very fortunate was Sarvabhauma for that very personality whom the Vedas so eloquently and repeatedly glorify with entire volumes of poetry was now personally present in his own home. When he saw Sri Nityananda, a radiant personality, he fell to the ground, smearing his head with the dust from his lotus feet. Then he gathered some of his men and asked them to accompany the associates of the Lord to the temple for their darshan of Lord Jagannath. The guides were at first hesitant, then thinking frankness a better proposition, began to earnestly request the devotees in the following manner. With folded hands they said, "Please be calm and composed when in front of the deities of Lord Jagannath. Do not act like your guru did just some time ago. We do not know who you are, but only if you give your word to remain equipoised within the temple are we willing to accompany you. The way your guru acted, we are sure that it was only by the will of Sri Hari that Jagannath remained on his altar. I think there is no need to elaborate further on this matter because all of you have seen how your guru crashed to the ground. If it were anyone else, he would have died on the spot. This is all very inconceivable to us. Therefore, we request you to please remain composed." The devotees began to laugh, but they assured the guides that they had nothing to worry about and that they would behave normally. The devotees went inside the temple and beheld Sri Jagannath, who is the source of the quadruple expansions of the Chaturvyuha. He is the Lord of the universe, and he has manifested himself as the source of all bliss, and he is always with his devotees. The devotees exulted in his presence, shed tears of ecstasy, and circumambulated the Lord, all the time glorifying him with Vedic prayers. The priest brought the devotees the Lord's flower garlands, prasad mala, and placed them around their necks. The devotees were very happy, and begging permission from the priest to leave, they returned to the house of Sarvabhauma. Sri Chaitanya was still in the same condition, deeply absorbed within himself in the ecstasy of Krishna Prema. Sarvabhauma was sitting at his feet, and the rest of the people were loudly chanting, "Rama, Krishna." The activities of the Lord are all inconceivable. He was in a state of unconsciousness for more than 9 hours continuously. Then gradually the Lord began to stir. When he was awake again, the devotees greeted him by jubilantly chanting the Lord's name. Collecting himself, the Lord inquired, "Kindly describe to me exactly what has transpired." The devotees felt shy and were quiet. Then at last Lord Nityananda spoke. "You entered to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, and as soon as you saw the deity, you fell to the ground swooning in ecstasy. By the will of Providence, Sarvabhauma was there at that moment, and he has taken care of you and brought you to his house. You have been absorbed in ecstasy for the past 9 hours. Here is Sarvabhauma, now offering obeisances to you." Sri Chaitanya quickly got up and embraced Sarvabhauma. The Lord spoke to Sarvabhauma. "Jagannath is very merciful. He has brought me to Sarvabhauma's house. I was wondering how to contact you and have your association. Mercifully, Krishna has easily fulfilled my desire." The Lord looked benignly at Sarvabhauma and smiled. The Lord continued to speak. "Kindly hear me. I came to the temple and saw Sri Jagannath. Upon seeing him, I felt the immense urge in my heart to rush and embrace him and hold him to my chest. Luckily, Sarvabhauma was about, and I was saved from a serious danger. Therefore, I firmly declare that from today I will see Jagannath from a distance, not entering into the inner sanctum. I will stand next to the pillar of Garuda and see the Lord from there only. I am fortunate that today I did not embrace the Lord, thus avoiding a dangerous situation. Nityananda Prabhu said, "You certainly averted a possible mishap. Now it is late. You should quickly bathe." Sri Chaitanya replied, "Nityananda, you should always correct me and steady me. I have given this body of mine into your total care." After completing his bath and other rituals, feeling refreshed, the Lord came out and sat with the devotees, a sweet smile playing faintly upon his lips. Sarvabhauma had arrived for a lot of Mahaprasadam, the food remnants of Sri Jagannath. So he had it brought in and placed it before the Lord. The Lord offered his prayers of thanks to Sri Jagannath for the opulent Mahaprasada and sat down to partake of it with all the devotees. The Lord said, Give me as much as you can of the mixed vegetable preparation, and you can take all the pita, cheese, dumplings, and other sweets. So Mahaprabhu only asked for simple boiled mixed vegetables. Lafra. The Lord was intensely relishing the transcendental taste of the Mahaprasad. He ate his mixed vegetables with the greatest relish, and the devotees enjoyed this simple, spiritually saturated pastime, laughing with boyish joy. Sarvabhauma, who had arranged this feast, was certainly an eternal associate of the Lord, for no ordinary person could achieve this rare gift and fortune. He brought rice for the Lord on a golden plate and gave it to him, and the Lord immediately began eating it. The scene was so transcendently exhilarating that the details fail me and are therefore reserved to be delineated later by Sri Vedavyas. After the meal, the devotees sat around their Lord. In every respect, the meal had been a treat for all. Anyone who hears these transcendental pastimes with devotion will indeed be blessed with the direct association of Sri Chaitanya. If anyone hears the narration in the Antya-lila of how Lord Chaitanya came to Nilachala, they will certainly swim in an ocean of devotional love. Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. So here, the author, Vrindaban Das Thakur, says that details of this scene fail me, but Vedavyas will later delineate all these pastimes. And so he's referring to Krishna Das Kaviraj in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now we'll sing Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama. Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Chanana Bandhan H.I. Gosai Kori Chanana Bandhan Jawate Bignana Shamista Puran Jawate Bignana Shamista Puran H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame More Abhilas Janame Janame More Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Bharga ki jai, Dhamacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat ki jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Sri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Ram Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Koladvip ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Shri Kadasi Upavas ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Special Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.